Hi guys, I'm Jared from Redeemer Church. Last week's hard question was this: how were people saved before Jesus had died for sin? Our answer was that people have always been saved by grace, through faith, in God as He has most fully revealed Himself. But the grounding, the provision for that salvation was made once for all by Jesus and His death on the cross. Then the righteousness of Christ is credited both backwards on those saints who lived before Jesus and forward on those who have trusted in Him ever since. So if people were always and only saved by grace, one question we've been asked is this: what is with all the bloody, messy sacrifices that God had the Jews make in the Old Testament? If they didn't forgive sin, what did they do? Well, the writer of Hebrews puts it this way. He writes, "In these sacrifices there is a reminder of sin every year, for it is impossible for the blood of bulls and goats to take away sins." So the sacrifices weren't for the removal of sin at all. They were for a reminder of sin. So let me suggest maybe a helpful way to think about those sacrifices. The Old Testament sacrifices were for the Israelites much what communion is for Christians today. They're not identical, but here are at least a few similarities. Number one, communion is a regular reminder of the reality and seriousness of our sin. Jesus said that the cup of wine in communion represented His blood poured out for many for the forgiveness of sins. Number two, communion is a reminder of our promises in Jesus. Jesus called communion a new covenant in His blood. In fact, that word covenant is the word God most often used when He was making a promise to His people. And number three, communion is done in faith and trust that God has made a provision to cover our sin where we could not. So, in much the same way, the Old Testament sacrifices were a regular reminder of the Israelites' sin. They were a reminder of God's promises, and they were done in faith and trust that God would someday make a provision to cover the Israelites' sin where they could not. Taking communion can't save you, just as the Old Testament sacrifices couldn't save the Jews. But both were given as a reminder of sin, and both were vivid, tangible ways to remember God's promises and act upon our trust in God. Well, I hope that helps, and I hope to see you this Sunday.